In just a few months, it'll be 2 years since I packed up my entire life in Los Angeles into three suitcases and started my life here in Portugal. And while I've recorded a video with my husband on a shared channel last year it was a year into moving, I want to share a little bit more of the things that were happening in the like unseen and internally because on paper and from the outside looking in, my life in Los Angeles before moving here, made sense. I was secure, independent, but inside I often felt heavy, like I was carrying this weight, a constant exhaustion of trying to earn my place in the world, in the wellness industry. And moving to Portugal didn't just change my address or my marital status. It slowly has changed how I see and experience everything. Last year and a half has taught me the difference between surviving and actually trusting myself and thriving. Now, in LA, I had glimpses of what it felt like to be out of survival mode, but they were all just like I felt like I had just touched the surface. And when I really started to take a deeper look at that, I noticed that before I moved, safety and comfort came from a perceived sense of control and from things that felt familiar, being close to my family. I was born and raised in LA. And while I had done some traveling, I didn't really know a different way of operating other than what I had seen growing up and what was mirrored to me through society. I had already been on this journey of embracing more of my feminine and receiving more, and moving really took that into a new level. Back then, I was living by myself. I had been living by myself for 5 years, and part of my work in that time had been around what I feel like most women and most people experience of this fear of being alone and really learning the difference between feeling lonely and being alone and really practicing discernment in what are the things, people, and occasions that really bring me joy and replenish and nourish my energy rather than just being somewhere because I was so afraid to be alone. That can be a video and a topic for another time. So if that is something that interests you, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, I just had gotten to this place of really enjoying, honoring, and loving my presence and my energy. And having been raised by a single mother, it had gotten to a point where it was like very much pedal to the metal for the things that I wanted and making them happen on my terms. And while I think that is great to an extent, it also came at a certain level of expense, and my body was pretty much always honest with me about that. The body always tells the truth. During those 5 years, my body really suffered during that time. I was constantly in some sort of pain, specifically noticed it around my cycle. My moon cycle was pretty painful. I felt drained. There was always some sort of ache. And I remember I would like wake up and immediately focus on what was hurting and begin to either complain or just kind of spiral about the way that the things that I was feeling in my body. Since moving, one of the practices that I shifted and that my husband really supported me with this was, instead of focusing on what hurt every morning, I started to tune into what felt really good and then asking myself what would make that feel even better, what can amplify that feeling. Now, this isn't to bypass the signals that your body is giving you, but I've found that what you focus on expands. And if you choose to focus on the things that aren't going your way or that don't feel good, that's where your energy and your focus will go, and it'll continue to expand that. And I promise you that if you are watching this video, it means you have a heartbeat, and it means that you are breathing, and you can begin to extend appreciation for all the work that your body does without you even having to think about it. And if you take that appreciation and let it create a ripple, a wave through you, you will begin to see the changes that are available when you focus on that and allow yourself to be carried by the things that are working. So, when the move happened, it was a bit of a shock. Now we are living in just outside of Sintra, which is, I would say, the countryside. Even though in LA I didn't live in the like heart of the city, I lived in Northridge. It was still busy. There was noise, distractions, places to rush to and get to, and everything just felt like it was available, like easily and readily available. And it's not really like that here. I miss Trader Joe's. Although I have fallen in love with the local grocery stores that we go to here, what I realize is that I had subconsciously brought that same sense of urgency with me, and I placed it onto my work because that was the only outlet I had. Like, my environment was new, my living situation, like everything, the language, everything was new. And I felt being able to take something and put all of my energy in it, like my work, or and like make it my thing, like I had been in the past, is how it played out. So when all of the structures and the things that were familiar for me before disappeared, it revealed so much about how much of my power I was giving away. And I realized that I was finding my purpose in the things that I was doing. And after a lot of what Abraham Hicks would call sifting and sorted, I realized that I was now in a brand new chapter, a clean slate. And it felt like moving into an empty house, which nothing is wrong with that, but nothing was familiar yet. And when I realized that I now get to decide how I want to furnish my life, it felt exciting, and at the same time, it felt scary. It was really empowering to see that I could choose how I wanted to show up, who I wanted to be. Having that much power and that many possibilities, while also being with uncertainty, brought up so many feelings. And I feel really grateful and proud of the ways that I was able to apply a lot of the emotional regulation and mindfulness tools that I teach into my own life to be able to become a better steward of my energy and a co creator of my life. That, I believe, really helped me create something different for myself. That's when I started to see the pattern more clearly. I believe that a lot of our patterns are learned in childhood, generationally, and even societally. Having been raised by immigrant parents, I learned a very strong work ethic, and that was a gift. being hardworking, tenacious. And it also came with this level of like not knowing when to stop. My parents would be sick and they would go to work. It was a form of self abandonment in a way. And I know that, they did the best that they could. And that's something that I've been working to reframe because the cost of living that way was also leading me to lose my ability to fall in love with the process because I stopped being with who I was becoming. I stopped being curious and I became attached to outcomes. And that led to a lot of frustration. That's when it became clear that I was attaching my worth to my work or my level of productivity. I wasn't finding or allowing myself to experience pleasure much. I was straying away from being of service, from sharing the tools and the stories that have supported me. I was mostly focused on results and making it mean something about me rather than focusing on creating something beautiful from this clean slate. It's like if you're an artist or you've ever started to paint something or you've ever decided to start something new, there's just so many possibilities. And your imagination, if you have not trained it or to work with it, it will do its thing. And that's when I realized that something really needed to shift because, as the saying goes, you can change your location, but your habits and who you are, if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting the same results. While, yes, your environment does have an impact at the end of the day, it's like, what do you default to? For me, now it's been about tuning into joy, pleasure, and really getting curious and allowing myself to expand the feelings of worthiness. Worth in my body feels spacious. It's a sense of curiosity and aliveness. It's something that I tend to every day. It feels like giving myself permission, letting every cell in my body know that I belong and that I'm worth taking care of no matter what. Every day looks different. And I think taking care of our basic needs is something that so many people underestimate. My days don't start with getting on my computer and trying to make something happen like they used to when I first moved here. And I think that part of myself, like she was determined. And I think that that's beautiful. And there's also so much more than your work. If you're somebody who right now you wake up and you're automatically in this needing to put out fire mode, kind of like attacking your day, that's great, but also, like, is it really working for you? Do you go to bed with a sense of ease and satisfaction with the way that you showed up for your day? And if you do, amazing. And if you don't, this is could be one of the signs that you might be attaching your worth to your level of productivity and to your work. I know that for me, like I said, it was like I would get up and I wouldn't even eat. I would begin to work on things and I stopped working out as consistently. Now I wake up, I get ready for the day, I go on a walk, I nourish myself, I move my body, and most importantly, I take breaks listening to the subtle cues and giving my body what it needs to keep on going so that I can continue to work with it instead of against it, which I believe society, this Western culture is known for. And I stopped treating myself like I was some sort of machine that needed to perform. And I started to really tend to my needs and my desires like a living human being, something that needs caring and nurturing. And it's not perfect. I'm human. There are days where I forget, but now there's so much more space, there's compassion and grace. I notice my breath. I notice the subtle cues in my body and I make space. I remind myself that if I've made it this far and things have been okay, even when I didn't think that they would be, they'll continue to be okay. And even better because now I, and hopefully you too, are an active participant in life and in your journey. I think that's really what this season has been about for me. I don't have it all figured out. What I do know and what it's been about is remembering what I already knew deep down and what your soul also knows deep down, but we forget how to live. That worth isn't something that you earn through effort. It's something that we stay connected to, especially in the seasons where life doesn't validate us. There are going to be days where you forget this. Then there are going to be days where you feel fully anchored in your truth. And for all of the women who still experience their menstruation cycle, notice the different changes that happen in the different parts of your moon cycle. It's normal to have days where you're unsure. And it's also normal to feel on top of the world. And it's important to have the tools and the resources to help you remember that both are okay, both belong, and being able to trust in yourself is not about having any kind of certainty because the only certainty is that change and uncertainty is inevitable. It's about staying with yourself even when the path isn't fully clear and it's still unfolding. So, if this resonated with you, you are not alone. This is a kind of space I intend to continue creating here, filled with reflections from my journey, practices, and conversations for anyone learning to untangle their worth from their work, from their past, and really learn to tune into the beautiful light that you have within and letting that amplify and create a ripple effect in the world that is so much needed in this time. If you enjoyed this, I would love for you to subscribe and grow alongside me. I also share a weekly email where I reflect and share more practices and upcoming workshops, and it'll be linked below for you to join. Thank you so much for being here. You are so worthy no matter what you do.